What's good, YouTube? This is a video for the second version of the auto counter, which now includes some changes to the back end and the ability to do more than one hunt at a time. The new version of the auto counter works very differently to the first one, so if you're used to setting up the first one, make sure you watch this video so you know what you're doing, and let's get right into it. Right, so the first thing we need to do is you need to download the installer and then install it onto your machine. So in the description there will be a link to a Google Drive folder. Not this folder, another one, and in there you'll probably see a couple versions of the app. If you click on them, you'll be able to see what version they are. The first version that's probably going to be public is 2.0.7, so just go into that folder, look for the newest version, and then right click it and download. Now you're going to get a prompt from Google. The file is too big for Google to do its inbuilt virus check, so you just have to click download anyway. Once you do that, the app should start downloading. Give my slow internet a second. Right, and then once it's downloaded, you can double click it in the bottom left if you're using Google Chrome, or I think most browsers do that. If not, just go to your downloads folder, double click into it. Now you're going to get this. This is a prompt from Microsoft. As I'm not an authorized publisher by Microsoft, so you simply need to click more info and run anyway. And then click yes to another prompt that you're going to get, which I don't think my OBS will have picked up. And the app should start installing. And there we go. We now have the app installed. And the next step is to set up Windows. So let's go on to that. Right, the first thing we need to set up is Windows, and this is the biggest difference from version 1 of the counter. Version 1 would look at all of your desktops. So if you had 3 screens, it would look at all 3 of them and look for the image you give it within them screens. Now this meant that multi-hunting couldn't really be done if you were doing 2 of the same hunts or whatnot. Now the app will only look at a specific window. For example, the app itself is a window, and you can tell it to look at only that. This allows for multi-hunts to be done and hunts of the same hunt. So let's set these up and you'll have a better understanding what the hell I'm on about. So the first thing you're going to do is after you install it, it's already opened the app for you. So simply close it, right click it, run it as admin. You should be given a little prompt. Click yes to the prompt. You might have seen that on OBS. Now the reason we're running it as admin is because on the C drive there's a file here for the app itself. And we're going to modify that, but because it's on the C drive, it's in a protected location, so you have to be admin to be able to modify it. So once you've got the app open as admin, go to settings, and this is a brand new page for this version of the app. So in here you'll see that I've got my one already, and I'm going to explain what this is now. So if I open up a second version of my OBS, well, that looks hella junk. Right, so basically, for each hunt, we're going to project a window from OBS. So this one here, source switch, is my switch screen that I use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click it, and you'll see window projected source. For OBS and OBS stream elements, this will be this. For Streamlabs, it will be called something different. I'll try and put a screenshot onto the video now for you. But once that is projected, you'll get this little pop-up appear. And if we get the app back, you'll see that this name here matches exactly what this window is called. So this window will always be the same up till the first hyphen. And after that, it will be the name of the actual source you've given it. Now, if I was to close this down and rename this to 1 and then project it again, you'll now see that this does not match this because it's got a 1 at the end. So say you had 2 switch screens. If you named the sources 1 and 2 and then projected them both, you could put them in as different windows and you'd be able to capture them both differently. Something very important to note about this window is to never minimize it. If you minimize it, it will stop working. Simply click OBS behind it and it'll hide in the background. So All you have to do is type exactly what you see there. Case doesn't matter, but spaces and dashes do, and make sure there's no space at the end of the name or anything. And simply click add. So if I do just some random letters now and click add, you'll see in my drop down now, I've got this. And if I wanted to get rid of one, because I don't use that anymore, just simply click the drop down, click remove, and it is gone from the drop down. Right, that is it for Windows. Let's move on to the next section. Right, the next thing we need to set up to get a hunt started is to get an image of what we want the counter to recognize and put the counter up for. Now there's a couple of things to note from the counter. The main thing is that we always take the picture from this window, not from the bigger version on OBS, not from Twitch, not from a video, not anything. The reason behind this is because the picture size matters. If I was to take it from this bigger version on my actual source and look for it in this, because this is bigger, it won't pick it up in here. When you project a source, it will always open at the same size. So as long as you don't go like making this bigger, smaller, maximum, you know, this will always be the same size when you open it, so you should never have to take another picture until you want to do a different hunt. Something to note from version 1 is in version 1, because it just looked at your desktop, if you had something overlaid in front of your switch, it wouldn't work. For example, if I put this here and I was looking for text behind what would appear behind this, and we were looking at this main one, it wouldn't work because it's getting overlaid here. However, because we're now just looking at this one source, in OBS, if something pops up over your switch, it won't matter because it won't appear in this window. So that's a nice quality of life change. Right, to get the picture, we can do one or two things. We can use the snipping tool, which you can have open ready when you're about to see the image you want to take. Just take it, or you can press Windows, Shift and S, which is a shortcut to snipping tool. I have this loaded up, so I should encounter a Duraludon. So let's go into game, and for this we're going to look for you have encountered a wild Duraludon. I'm going to take that whole sentence. Right, now I've got the snipping tool open. I'm simply going to drag a box around that sentence. My PC is running really slow. I don't know what it is. Recently, snipping tool is not like my PC. Right, and then you should be able to open this. Windows, please. Microsoft. There we go. So now we see this text. We've took it from the small screen. And all we're going to do is simply save it. Why does it have to be technical difficulties during recording? Lovely. What's it doing? Okay, well, I'm assuming. Ah, there we go. So if I go to my C drive, stream, scripts, and you'll see I've already got a lot of images in here. I'm simply gonna call this YouTube vid, and we shall come back to that later. Now we've got that picture taken. Because it's got the Pokemon specific name, you'll have to take another image every single time you know a different Pokemon. For Soft Reset and Masuda, you will always be able to use the same image as long as it's in the same game. And I'll put examples of the images I use for Soft Reset and Masuda in Sword and Shield on the screen now. If you want to do murder or encounter methods, you have to take that you encountered a wild, whatever the Pokemon name is. Right, and let's move on to the next step, which is setting up the number to appear on OBS. Right, the final thing we need before we can start hunting is a text file. And this text file is going to contain the number that the app's going to automatically increase for you and the OBS is going to read from. So, to create this file, it's very simple. simply open up the location you want to save it, right click and text document, a new then text document, and we're just going to call this YT for now. Then make sure you open it and put a 0 into it. So, a couple of things to note on this file. Never put any letters or words or spaces in there, only ever numbers. And it has to have at least a 0, you can't start from blank. Obviously, if you're doing a hunt already, you can leave it whatever number it's at, but make sure it's got at least a 0 in there. So we've put the 0 in, we can close that and save. Now, we'll tell the app how to look at it in a minute, but for now, let's get OBS looking at it. So, in OBS, add a new text source. We're just going to call that YT for YouTube. And it should open up this dialog. So you can change the font, the colour, whatever you want. But what we're interested in here is this tick box for read from file. So if you tick that, it will allow you to browse. And this is where we saved it, and you can see we've got yt.txt. So we're going to select that and click OK. Now, if you were doing more than one hunt at a time, you could obviously have 5, 6 text files, however many you need. You can also have different ones for different hunts. You just have to remember to tell OBS to look at the correct one and put the correct one when you put the app in. Now that's set up, we've got everything we need to be able to start hunting. So let's get to that. Right, finally, we've got all the prerequisites set up, so we can actually now start hunting. It might seem like it takes a while to set up, but once you get used to it, it'll be very quick, I promise you. So if you've still got it open before, the first thing you're going to do is click the home button and take us back to the main page. Just a side note, if you're not planning to add any new windows, you're just going to hunt, you don't need to run it as admin. You just run it as a normal user. On the home page, you'll see we have single hunt and we have multi-hunt, pretty self-explanatory. We're going to go into multi-hunt here, even though I'm only doing one because I'm just going to choose to launch one of them. At the top, you'll see you can do 6 different hunts at a time. Each one's managed differently. So yeah, if you want to do hunt 2, go back and then hunt 1, you can do. So, first thing we need to do is add in the image that we took before. That's the You Encountered a Wild Duraludon. Next thing is the counter. That is the text file we made before. So, these 3 buttons are new to this version and they do exactly what you'd expect. -1 to the counter, +1 to the counter, and reset back to 0. Next we have the method drop down. So, murder and soft reset are the same, Masuda is different. Reason behind this is when you do a Masuda, you get the effects of the egg cracking and all that, so the image isn't always the exact same. So the Masuda only makes sure the image is 80% accurate to the one you've taken. Whereas murder and soft reset, because they generally go off text, they make sure the image is 90% accurate. So the app doesn't go up for the wrong Pokemon, for example. Because we put You Encountered a Wild, we're going to do murder. Next you have increments, very self-explanatory. If you're doing horde encounters, for example, set it to 5. Every time you encounter a horde, the app will put up the counter by 5. So on, so on. And finally, we have window. Now this is the one we added earlier, which matches this window I've already got projected in OBS. A little note on this is before you start the hunt, make sure you've got this open and not minimized. It can be behind OBS, so you can click it behind. It just can't be minimized. If you've started the hunt and you minimize this or close this, you'll have to end and restart the hunt. So with all that, we can click start hunt and the hunt is now running. Now if you were to click end hunt, that would wipe it all back for you. So you can put in a new image or whatever. So just as a proof of concept, let's actually start a hunt. Murder increment window projected, start hunt. And now let's encounter that Duraludon again and pray it's shiny. So normally for soft resets, I would use the Game Freak logo, this one. However, most people ask questions about the You Encountered a Wild, so that's why I'm showing it this way. You encountered a wild Duraludon and the app goes up by 1. Very simple. That's all you need to know. if we had another switch, we could go into Hunt 2, set up the image for that one, the path for that one, and remember to change the projected source to the one you want to watch for Hunt 2. And Bob's your uncle. You're done. That's everything. So let's close out. Right, so that's everything you need to know to be able to set up the auto counter version 2. I am planning to still develop more features into it. If there's any features you would like, let me know. If you have any issues setting it up at all, join my Discord, the link in the description, and send me a DM or put a message into the text chat for report an issue. I do work a full-time job and other stuff, so I might not be able to get back to you straight away, but I'll try to get my best to get back to you as soon as I can. There's also other people in there that sometimes help as well. So yeah, that's it for this video. Stay tuned, there will be more updates in the future, and have a good day. Peace out.